And we are live.
We are.
We'll give people a second to come in here. What'd you do this weekend?
Man, my dad's 60th birthday party. So Papa Durkins, we celebrated him, had a really, really good time. How about yourself, buddy?
Football, and more football.
That's awesome.
And this weekend, actually Saturday, October 3rd, is my birthday. The big 4-0.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So we're going out Friday night, the family and some friends. And then Sunday having some other family over. See, my sister's birthday is the same day, or her birthday is the day before mine.
Okay.
So we're having everybody over for Sunday, whatever, lunch or dinner. I don't know what it is. So yeah, it's all downhill from here, Bobby. 40 years old.
It sure is. It sure is. But I'm not too far behind you. But you are a man, and you are 40. You should grow his hair. You should. Well, they took away his hair.
You can't see. Look how long it is.
Look at that.
You can't really see
that.
Yeah, it's this is what I call my pandemic haircut.
Your pandemic hair.
Yeah, I've had my haircut twice in the past 10 months. Yeah. What's up? Clemson Carson's in the house. Luke Walker, Michael Sachs Jr., Bo Weevil, Volunteer Roadshow. Catfish is in the house. Says, wait till you hit 50. Sir, I don't even want to think about being 40. I damn sure don't want to think about being 50.
Of course, he would bring that up.
Go Clemson, go, says Go Tigers. Slim Shady Kane says, you make me feel young, Pete. That's what Mrs. Pete says too. She says, I make her feel young. Isn't that sweet? I'm kidding. She doesn't say that.
I was sitting there going, I don't believe that one bit at all.
She's giving me hell about turning 40. She's a couple years younger than me.
Oh,
so we had the nerve, Bobby, the nerve of us to do a live show during the presidential debate. What is wrong with us?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because my wife was like, hold on, you're doing a show at 9? I was like, yeah. She said, you know what's going on at 9. People are just tuning in, whether they hate both guys or love both guys, whatever, just for the entertainment. So,
yeah, all these people are making me feel better about myself. Cedric's going on 50. Michael Sachs Jr. says I'm 2 years younger than him. Tiger Nation's 43. Now, people tell me I look a lot younger than my age. Tiger Nation, he does not look 43.
I was fixing to say that. Tiger Nation does not. If Tiger Nation tell me, I'm 33, 34, I'd buy it.
People tell me, they say I look like I'm 30 or something, which I feel, I mean, I say, thank you. You know?
Yeah, that's all you can say.
So,
yeah.
I look 30 and I feel 60. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not. All right. So anyway, this show tonight will probably be, normally we go for an hour. We might only go for 30 minutes or so tonight. First of all, we're going to talk some ACC football. And there's only 4, if I would have known this, I might have picked a different subject. There's only 4 ACC games. There's 7 games on a bye, and if you include Notre Dame, which Notre Dame was scheduled for a bye anyway, but of course last week's got canceled and they weren't able to reschedule it. They're just now starting to practice this coming Saturday, I think. So anyway, we don't have a whole lot to talk about that. But before we get into the games this week, and mainly Clemson and Virginia, I don't know if you got the memo, Bobby. The memo I got said that Clemson should be very, very scared about Miami.
I speak. Okay, now that you defined the memo, yeah, I've been getting a lot of memos, tons of them. Some of the memos are realistic memos. Hey, we just want to play with you guys. I think we got a chance, but we'd be happy to hang within 14. And then I got some guys that proves to me that more people are using meth than what you think. Everywhere. Like, we win this game, we win the national championship. And I'm like, Yeah, meth is really running rampant these days.
I just got done retweeting some guy on Twitter who said, "This is not the Clemson of 2019," which he's right. It's not. I mean, but they're just as good. And he said, "This is different than the last time we played Clemson. There is no talent gap difference." Now, I'm not saying Miami's not talented. They clearly are. But what are we basing this off of? Are we basing this off of them running Florida State out of the stadium? Because we know, Georgia Tech did that. Georgia Tech is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's a lot of different ways you can gauge talent. One of them is recruiting rankings. So over the past 4 years, what has Miami been averaging in recruiting rankings? I don't know the answer to that question, but I guarantee it's not anywhere close to Clemson.
No, and you got to remember a few years ago, I know it's different coach, and we always go into the different coach thing, but a few years ago, they recruited in Lorenzo Lingard, who was the #1 rated running back in the country. Well, what did he do? For whatever reason, don't care what it is, bolted for Florida. He left for Florida. They've recruited some players who's transferred out. They've had players who were good at transferred in. They're a talent. Yeah, I think the thing that Miami fans needs to hear, especially from you and I mean, you and I are kind of out on an island when it comes to talking about Clemson, because we just tell the truth. Because I mean, I hate to say it, nobody controls us. I mean, we say what we want and we just go for it. Is nobody, or at least between you and I, thinks that Miami is a bad football team. There's improvement there. They have talent. But here's the problem. Is that Miami is having a lot of media, everything is just jumping on this bandwagon of these guys are back. And I just don't, I'm not saying you can't beat Clemson. Do you hear that? Clean the wax out of your ears. I'm not saying that you can't come in and beat Clemson. I'm not going to tell you that. But even if you do, you're not winning the national championship. You take that to the bank. You're not winning the national championship. I'm sorry, you're not. But I think you're going to lose this game. And forget the flag behind my back. Forget my affiliation with, just pulling for Clemson. I just don't think you're going to beat them, because you ran a Florida State team off the field and into the sewer, who is probably one of the worst teams in college football right now. So if you're basing your big win over a horrible team as a reason that you're back and you're going to dominate, that proves in itself that at least your program is not ready to believe, or is not ready for the big stage, because you just beat a horrible team and now you think, man, we're up here with the big dogs, and I don't buy that.
Yeah. Slim Shady Canes, why do people focus on the stupid part of the Miami fan base? Well, because it's more fun to do that. And quite frankly, they're the loudest part of the fan base. And I said the other day, of course, who just said that? Said before, anybody can be beat. Yes, of course they can. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that Clemson can't lose this game, but Cedric and everybody else who's watching, whether you're a Clemson fan or not, if somebody forced you to bet your savings account on who's going to win this game, who would you bet it on? I mean, that's a very simple question, and I think we know the answer to that. But having said that, I mean, we do know Clemson lost to Pitt in national championship run year, lost to Syracuse on the road, almost lost to Syracuse at home, almost lost to North Carolina on the road last year, and Miami this year is better than all of those teams were. Mm-hmm. So of course they can. Of course it's possible. But I just think it's funny that a lot of these guys are running around acting like they're I'm seeing these. We're going to win by 17 and 20. I mean, who's outside of LSU in the national championship game last year? Name one team that's beat Clemson by that much at all, or anywhere close to that over the past 6 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yep.
Here we go. Hurricane T2Y. We will beat Clemson, sir. Well, I admire the moxie. So anyway, we'll have plenty of time to talk about that game next week. I just think, see, the thing is that Miami doesn't have a game to play this week. They're off this week. So they're looking ahead to so we have 2 weeks of this. which normally it would just be 1 week. We got to listen to it for 2 weeks, but I think looking forward to it. But Clemson does have a game this week, and against a team that I think is pretty good. Now, Vegas has them as a 28-point favorite over Virginia. Virginia came out last week with their first game of the season. They missed, what did they miss? They missed 2 games or 1 game? I think they missed 2 games.
I think something like that.
Yeah. Because of COVID. And so I was a little bit unsure. Bryce Perkins last year was a really good quarterback. They had a great season last season. They rolled into the ACC championship game and lost in the biggest loss in the history of the ACC championship game. What was it? 60 to,
yeah.
They beat them by like 45 points.
Yeah.
Bryce Perkins isn't there. They have a very young guy, Brennan Armstrong, who last week had a really good game. I just got some stats here. 269 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions. He also had another, I think he had like 50 yards rushing and another rushing touchdown. So a total of 3 touchdowns, almost 300 yards through the air, and a couple of picks. Not bad for his first time out.
Replacing Bryce Perkins that's a duh statement. He's one of those guys that until you get to the upper echelon of players like Deshaun Watson, you're not going to find a better player than Bryce Perkins until you get to your Watsons and those types of players, and of course obviously your Lawrences and some of your, even though Spencer Rattler had a bad game against Oklahoma, and against Kansas State, until you get to guys like him, it's hard to replace a Bryce Perkins. And if Bryce Perkins didn't play against Virginia Tech would have played us in the ACC championship this past year. But I would be interested to see how this kid adjusts. I mean, he was playing Duke, and that's a big deal, but he still threw 2 picks. When you have all we have to talk about is our defensive line with the majority of the teams in America. Rotating in and out the players that we have sitting on the bench, who's on the field, man. It's so scary who we have sitting on the bench. I mean, it's just blowing me away. How is he going to react when you think, we got Brise, he's contained, and out of nowhere, Miles Murphy takes your head off? Because that's kind of been what's going on this entire season, is he comes in and he knocks your head off, and then somebody else knocks your head off, and somebody else, and you're like, there's too many of them. We can't say, hey, we're going to shut down this guy or these 2 guys. It's everybody. It is every flipping body. So I think that 28 points. I think that's a firm 28 points. I'm not a betting guy, but if I was going to bet, I'd say they'd cover. Clemson definitely covers this. The only way they don't cover is if they jump out in front really, really early and do the whole Sweeney thing, and he should come out and play other players, get them experience, and they need to get experience. But to cut inside that 28, but I definitely believe the 28's realistic.
That's about right. Slim Shady Canes, thank you, says, why don't you see many Clemson pharmacists? They can't figure out how to put the medicine bottles in the printer. Did you see any of the Virginia game last week?
No, I did not.
So they're running a hurry-up style offense now, which has given Clemson's defense some fits in the past. That's what Syracuse did both those years that they the year that they did beat Clemson, and then in the next year. They're running a play an average of every like 20 seconds, which is super fast. They've got some really good players. This tight end, this transfer, he had a big game. Tony Polijan, a true freshman wide receiver who had over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. So Virginia's first team is really good. But what you just got done saying about the depth, that's the difference between Clemson and everybody else in the ACC, frankly. I don't know about the 28 points because of the same reason that you just said, because of the depth. If they get out to a big lead, they'll be having Pumachan and Uiagalelei in there, and the second and third string defensive line. And so I don't know about the 28 points. I don't think it's going to be a repeat of what we saw in the ACC championship game where they beat them by 45 points or anything. But it is somebody that they can't be looking ahead. And I think that Dabo Swinney and the coaching staff at Clemson has been there. They've done this. They know not to look ahead to a Miami coming next week, which is what everybody's already. People aren't even talking about the Virginia game.
Yeah, it's non-existent.
All they're talking about is the Miami. Even in these press conferences, all you hear the reporters asking the coaches about is Miami, and they're like, "Wait, we're playing Virginia this week. What are you talking about Miami for?" So I don't think that they'll look ahead to Miami because they're just too experienced for that. But this game is one that they definitely don't want to take lightly. But I think Clemson will come out on top fairly easily.
I think this is a good game for us to address issues on the offense, finesse issues, strategic, maybe some strategic questions that we have, maybe some just try to get try to work out any other kinks that are there before we go into the game next week. Because I'm telling you, I believe Miami's going to come for us, and I believe they're going to do their. I believe you're going to see some fine coaching, especially on the OC's part at Miami. I forget his name when it's him versus Venables. I mean, this could be a very, very interesting game. The only thing with him is that he does have talent on his side, and here I am talking about Miami. And Venables he just has this stocked shelf of geniuses. But this game against Virginia is a game that we need to prove our maturity, and we need to improve our play. And if there's issues on the offensive line, fix them now. If our receivers need to tighten up on their routes and become more physical and blocking downfield, this is the time to do it. If Trevor is thinking too much, Trevor seems to be a little more chill this year than what he was last year when he, his first 7 games, he was just throwing the ball everywhere. And he even admitted, I was trying to replicate last year's success, which always breeds more errors. But this would be the game that we make sure that any kinks, any questions, any personnel issues is taken care of, because I'm telling you, I do believe Miami's coming for us. But this would be a great tune-up for us.
There's a bunch of great questions in the chat here. A lot of concern about the depth in the offensive line, which is a valid concern for Clemson. We knew this coming into the season, though. This is nothing new. The starting offensive line is very good.
Yeah,
not a lot of depth there. A lot of young guys. So, and that's the concern looking ahead to Miami too, because Miami's defensive line is legit. So that could be an issue. Protecting Trevor Lawrence is going to be probably the key to the game when Miami comes to town. Other people asking, I don't know. I haven't heard any Tyler Davis updates. As far as I know, I don't think he's playing. Will XT be back? Well, they're saying that he could be back by, when did they say? November at the earliest?
Yeah, it was something like November.
Yeah, for like mid-November or something, which is good, because originally they were saying he took a medical red shirt. Well, they're saying he's going to be back, I think. So I don't know. Last I heard was a few weeks ago. They said he was planning on coming back early to mid-November, and that's the last I heard. So you may have better information than me, Jordan. I don't know.
For me, unless he wants to go out on the field now, and I still think that the coaches needs to be the ultimate decision of, we have your best interest as far as your pro career. Xavier Thomas is one of the most talented players that we've seen walk through the doors of Clemson.
He's got raw talent.
Oh yeah, and whatever has been going on, and the health problems and whatever is going on, I would say, dude, look at our line. Get things worked out, get back to 100%, so we can get you in, you can do your thing, and inevitably go to the NFL. Yeah. And a higher draft,
We'll move on from that in a minute. So I don't know if people know this. Xavier Thomas I think most of his life was a basketball player. He's not one of these guys that played Pee Wee football, JV football, varsity football. I don't think he started playing football until like his junior year in high school or something. He was just so big and freakish of an athlete that they threw him out there at defensive end in high school, and he just dominated everybody. So he hasn't had a lot of coaching, is what I'm getting at. I mean, he's a freak of an athlete, and he's been sort of working out the X's and O's part of it over the last couple of seasons. And I think this was supposed to be his breakout year. And then, of course, he gets COVID, and then he got strep throat, and he had complications because of that. It's been a mess. But I agree. He certainly has the ability to be something great in some time here soon. Let's see here. Luke Walker. Luke's a North Carolina fan. We're going to talk about that game now. Let's go ahead and do that.
Let's do it. Let's roll.
Who have forgotten about how good North Carolina is. I haven't forgotten. We'll see how good that they actually are soon.
Yeah.
Play Boston College this week. Boston College is quietly 2-0 now.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't played very good teams, but nonetheless, they have a new coach. They have a new quarterback, or a transfer quarterback from a kid from
Notre Dame.
But they're quietly 2-0, and North Carolina is undefeated. Vegas has North Carolina as a 2-touchdown favorite. I think that might be a bit much. I do think North Carolina is a better team, and they'll probably be 3-0 after this game is over. Wait, how many games has North Carolina played? Because they lost a game because of coronavirus too.
I think they've only played one game.
Have they only played one?
I think they have. I could be wrong.
There's been so many games postponed and canceled in the ACC. I can't even keep track of it anymore.
I'm looking right now.
I think they've only played one. I can't remember another one that they played. Yeah, they've only played one. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
But Luke, you know I've been high on North Carolina all off season, all beginning of this season. Some of the other teams have grabbed my attention, like Miami, like Notre Dame, like Pitt. We'll talk about them in a second. So I haven't forgot about them.
I think if you're Mac Brown, this is the best case scenario for you. And I'll guarantee you, just watching his style over the years, Mac Brown is sitting there going, he pulls his coaching staff, into the office, and he goes, this is what our team needed. We needed the spotlight taken off of us because we knew we knew that the team had so much more growing to do, and that all it takes is for you to lose a game that you weren't supposed to lose, and the wheels come off. And I think that Notre Dame entering the picture, and everybody starts talking about Notre Dame, because before this whole thing went on, who were we talking about was going to contend with Clemson, or at least out of the division? North Carolina. That was hands down.
Yeah.
Okay. Now they're not even the second team. They're now the third team because Miami is doing their thing. If I was Mac Brown, I would be so flipping happy. I was like, great, let's quietly go into each and every game we play and just win. We win that, and then before you know it, you have a North Carolina team who I don't know when they play Miami. I don't know the whole schedule, so if I'm speaking out of place, just let me know. But and I'm sure y'all will. But they could enter a game, in the top 10 very easily. That's a big game, and all of a sudden, like, whoa, North Carolina is undefeated. How did this happen? Well, because you guys were talking about Notre Dame and Miami so much, you forgot about them. So this could be a great – I would love this scenario if I was Matt Brown.
Yes. Yeah. And I haven't forgot about Miami. It's just, Notre Dame's come out of the gate looking really good. Miami obviously has surprised everybody how good they look from last year compared to this year. Pitt is another team I think is legit. So they just got sort of buried in all the hype for some of the other teams in the ACC. Now, North Carolina has to play they play in Chapel Hill, but they play Notre Dame in Chapel Hill. Then the last game of the season, they have to go down to Coral Gables or down to Miami and to Hard Rock Stadium and play Miami. So they got a couple of tough games there. They don't have Clemson, so that's a good thing. But they have at least two really legit teams they have to play this year. And we'll see what North Carolina can do. I'm still a believer in Sam Howell and Mac Brown. I haven't changed my mind on that at all. Gotta play Miami last. That's right. All right, so I'm picking Miami to win this game. That's all I can say about that. Boston College is 2-0, but I think that they're, I don't think they'll finish the season probably 500 if I had to guess.
Which will be a good thing. Brand new coach, brand new quarterback, everything going on. Yeah. What is that guy's name? Phil Jurkovic?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce? Yeah, I remember when he signed with Notre Dame, and that was a big sign, even for Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame was like, man, we're glad to get this guy. Who knew that Ian Book was going to come in and do his thing and had a killer season? So it's not a thing that old Phil sucks or anything. It's just a thing that he was like, It's time to move on.
He's played well. And I do have a bet with Slim Shady Canes. I bet that North Carolina was going to go into Miami in the last game of the year and beat them. Now, I'm not feeling so great about that bet now. Made that bet before the season, but we'll see. All right, so moving on. Speaking of another team in the state of North Carolina, Duke and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, another team that had their first game over the weekend. They're another one that had a couple of them canceled. Beat the brakes off of North Carolina State. Yeah. Looked really good doing it. I don't know how much you can put of that because North Carolina State just doesn't look very good. And on top of that, Duke has been a massive disappointment. Now, no one's ever expecting Duke to go out there and be a top 10 or a top 15 team every year, but Chase Bryce goes in there, right? David Cutcliffe's always got a good squad, good coaches. They're sitting there at 0-3 right now. Yeah. Duke is not looking very good.
The interesting thing is that I felt like South Florida, I'm going somewhere with this, South Florida would play Notre Dame better than what they did, and of course got skunked 52-0. What's interesting is Duke, I know it's first game of the year, blah, 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 blah. But they actually played Notre Dame pretty doggone solid. So I was like, man, Duke, even though this was a loss, this might be a good loss, you know. No, after that, it was just like the wheels fell off. Steering wheel got thrown away. Somebody set the engine on fire. I mean, for Duke, I'm left scratching my head. Anytime watching NC State lose, especially with this coaching staff, I love it. I love it. I love watching NC State lose now because their coach he might be a great guy in real life and he might be a fantastic person. I don't know. But I know that when he has shown himself, especially with the Clemson folk, he seems like the annoying neighbor who writes letters to the HOA because you left your trash can out.
Well, just say what it is, Bobby. He's a Karen.
He is a male Karen.
He's a Karen.
He is a Karen.
He's not a very likable guy. Like you said, he might be the nicest guy in real life. I don't know. I can't stand the guy. He's probably definitely in the ACC. He's the coach I like the least.
Mm-hmm.
Not even close.
Yeah.
He's a male Karen. So anyway, Duke is a 10.5 point underdog, and I think that's about right. I think Virginia Tech rolls in this one, no problem. Duke, sorry about your luck. You're going to 0-4 after this week. Another North Carolina team, NC State, faces off against I'm the only one that seems to be talking about how good Pitt is. Not the only one. The only one in our little community.
Yeah.
Maybe you have been saying, I don't know. Maybe you've been saying stuff about him.
I listened to you yesterday with Mark Rogers and I text you. How many times do I text you about one of your shows? Not that much.
No, not very often.
Because and I'm gonna say this because you and I put out so much content that it just happens. I caught your show with Mark Rogers yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And folks, I'm going to tell you this. Those two, it was top notch. That's what I tweeted you. Or not tweeted, I texted you. That was top notch. And y'all talked about Pitt. And I heard your reason behind Pitt. I get what you're saying with the defense. I get that. I didn't, and I know that you didn't say, oh, they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. I know you didn't. But you have a lot of respect, especially for the defense and so on. And I get that. I still have this gulp in my throat when I think about Pitt because Pitt can go run neck to neck with a good Penn State team, and then turn around and blow it against NC State. They've done stuff like that in the past. You think, man, Pitt has really, really stepped it up, and then they blow it. They go to Happy Valley with 10,000 people and play like, man, this is our stadium and barely lose the game. That is the Pitt that I can't get out of my head. So we had Clemsoning. I don't know what do they have pitting. That's what they've done. But I trust you. I do trust you. But I just it's kind of like show me if you're good. To me, it's I know that they've got the same quarterback that they've had for a while. What's it, Pickett or whatever his name is?
Their defensive line. Now their offense is average.
Yeah.
They're not bad. But they're not one of these teams that's going to go out and score for the 30 and 40 points and beat you by 20.
Sure.
But their defensive line is Well, it's the best that Pat Narduzzi's had there, and he's had some pretty good defensive fronts. It's right up there. It might not be quite as talented as Clemson, but it's right there, and Miami too. All three of those teams have dominant defensive lines, and you can win some, especially in the ACC. If you're only playing an ACC schedule, you can win a lot of games with just having a strong defensive front like that. Again, they're not going to go out. They'll win a bunch of games this year by 3 and 6 points. I mean, they only won the Louisville game by 3 points. But look, let's put it this way: if you want to do the transit property here and comparing from one team to another, Louisville put up 500 yards of offense against Miami's defense.
Mm-hmm.
They only put up a little over 200 yards of offense on Pitt's defense.
That is impressive.
That's impressive. So Pitt has to play Clemson. Pitt has to play Notre Dame. Notre Dame has to travel to Pitt.
Right.
Slim Shady or some Miami fan, I don't have does Miami play Pitt this year? That's what I want to know. Well, my point is, they have the chance to ruin somebody's season. Clemson has playoff aspirations. Notre Dame has playoff aspirations. Miami has playoff aspirations as of right now. Yes, they do. One of those three teams is going to lose to Pitt. That's what I'm calling that. Which one it is, I don't know. And that could possibly, whichever one of those teams loses to Pitt, it will ruin their season and their playoff hopes. I really believe that.
Well, the year they beat us when we went on our run with the national championship with Watson, I mean, we saw what they did there, and that was definitely unexpected, way unexpected. But anyway, I trust you in your expertise. I admit that I haven't just sat and watched Pitt and really, really paid attention to them. But to me, even with a good defense, offense has got to show me something. Yeah. But as you said, 3 and 6 point wins. Guess what? They're 3 and 6 point wins, and you take them. You don't care how you get them as long as you get them.
They're just one of those teams that nobody wants to face. Like, even if you're a better team, it's just one of those teams that you don't, you just know that there's a chance that they could pull it out. Slim Shady Canes, thank you, sir. He says one game. He's moved on from trash talking Clemson to North Carolina. One game apiece. Stetson Bennett has better numbers than Sam Howell. You know what? I think that's true. That is a fact. Numbers don't lie.
Well, and I know this is totally about a team we're not talking about, but this time last week, everybody was talking about the trashy Stetson Bennett, and they would rather hell freeze than them put him in the game, and everything. Guy comes in and wins the ball game for them.
Miami has a sour taste in their mouth about Pitt too. I mean, not only did they almost ruin Clemson's season in that national championship year, was that 2015?
Mm-hmm.
Year
to 16. Yeah, something like that. It's
I think it might have been 15 when they lost to Pitt. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But remember, a few years ago, Miami was, what were they, 10-0?
Yeah.
And then they lose to Pitt.
Yeah.
Well, they lost their final 3 games. They were undefeated. They were ranked in the top 4, I think, in the country, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
They go into Pitt on a Friday night and get beat. Yeah. And then the downhill slide from there. They lost their last game. Then they lost their bowl game.
Yeah.
So they have a very sour taste in their mouth about Pitt. And obviously they don't want that to happen again this year. But Pitt is a 14-point favorite against the Fighting Karens of NC State. And I think that's about right, too. And that just tells you how bad NC State is, because Pitt's not really going to beat most teams by 14 points. But
yeah, that's our 30. That's our 30-point win.
Right.
Yeah.
Top 2 Hurricane T2Y. So that's even worse, buddy. T2Y says they were in the top 2 when they lost to Pitt.
Whew. Yeah. By the way, I liked his comment that I looked like I was about to go to an interview. That I like that. That's nice.
Yeah, I got this. You're right. 16 when we lost to Pitt. 15 we were undefeated in the regular season. And then the only loss was in the national championship to Alabama. That's right. Okay. It's a remember. I can even remember what happened yesterday, let alone back in 2015. All right, guys, we're going to cut the thing short tonight. The presidential debate is on, and nobody wants to listen to me and Bobby whenever you got Donald Trump and Joe Biden duking it out on stage.
My wife was like, I mean, I can't believe you. I want to see this. I hope that they bust out into a cover song of "You Can Call Me Al." That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Have they? You have it on over there, don't you?
I had the sound down, but I'm watching it, and
Have,
and this might be how I watch the rest of it because it looks extremely funny with the sound down.
Oh my God. I think this is going to be, a buddy of mine asked me, he said, "Are you going to watch it?" I said, "Well, if we get done with the show in time, I'm definitely going to watch it." I said, "If anything, this is going to be comedic gold."
Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant.
So, all right. So any final words, Bobby?
Clemson, stay safe. Get out of this game. Use this game to prepare for the next week, but don't get caught looking at the next week. And go Tigers.
Hurricane T2Y says he wants both of us on his show the day after Clemson and Miami play. All right, so here's the deal with that. First of all, Hurricane T2Y, I would be happy to come on your show to talk about the aftermath of that game, no matter who wins. I'm going to be in Clemson that day, staying over that night, and driving back that Sunday. I guess we could plan on maybe doing it Sunday night. If I couldn't do it Sunday night, it wouldn't be able. It would have to be during the week sometime.
Yeah, I'm game. I'm totally game.
Right.
I'd love to.
You let me know, T2Y, if you're able to do it Sunday night, because I probably won't be home until at least sometime Sunday afternoon, and I'll need to decompress for a couple hours after traveling. But yeah, I'm up for it.
I'm definitely up for it. Win or lose, man.
All right, guys. We will see. Where can they find you on YouTube? I mean, everybody knows who you are, but let them know where they can find you on YouTube.
Talking about me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Bobby Durkins. Yeah, Bobby Durkins. Check it out. I will plug a video. Lane Kiffin stopped by my show this week. He stopped by my show, made an announcement. You need to check out Lane Kiffin. Made an announcement for a booze cruise he's putting together, and he used the Bobby Durkins show to do it. So come by, check it out. I'd love to have you. Even if you hate my guts, please hit the thumbs down. I do like thumbs down. I think they're funny. So
yeah, he does like he told me that privately. He's not lying.
I love thumbs down.
Everyone go check. If you're new here, if you come across this video somehow, Bobby Durkins is the name of his channel. That's BOBBYDIRKENS for all of you people that don't know how to spell. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow night for the Wednesday night call-in show. And of course, myself and Bobby will be back here next Tuesday at 9 p.m. sharp. There will not be a presidential debate tomorrow or next Tuesday to compete with. So
absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Take care.